Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about shot shaping 101. We have the Shotmaker 101 with us. You're going to show us how it's done.
I'm going to try, yeah.
So this is kind of become your sort of go-to. People know you for the wild shots that you hit. But I think the thing that people don't realize is that's what makes golf easier for you, not harder. I think people see you hitting these crazy shots and they're like, why does he hit it, you know, with a big sling hook on a 9-iron versus, you know, a little smooth 7-iron? But that's the way your mind works, and that's what it makes it easier.
Yeah, so for me, like, trying to perfect a straight shot has always been something that I've really struggled with. I got into that mindset for a while where I just became this range robot trying to perfect this perfect golf shot.
Yeah.
And I found that I had a lot more success working in extremes, both right and left, just because I found that I knew where the miss was going to be. It was more predictable and it was more repeatable for me.
Absolutely.
Which is why I think golf's pretty cool, is that there's so many different ways to play it and there's no real right and wrong.
Definitely, and I think there's a lot to be learned from that. I think there's probably quite a few people out there who maybe struggle with the constraints that people place on them, the way you should play the game. Yet if they did stand up there and kind of tried some other ways to play the game, they might actually find that allowed them to free up a little bit, use their coordination, their hand-eye a little bit more. And the other thing I think of as well is when you get into a little bit of trouble, having the skill set to be able to move your golf ball around an object rather than just trying to take something and hit it through a tree or and hope you don't, hit a branch or whatever. Like, you can get pretty creative with that. So a little get out of jail free card. We've talked about this with you in the past. Today we're going to dive into how do you actually do it, right? So how can people learn from the way you do it? You do something very, very unique when it comes to the shot shaping. And guys, it's this concept that I want to introduce of my great friend Andrew Rice calls it the king and the queen concept. We all understand that the ball launches close to the face angle, both vertically and horizontally, right? So face open, we're going to get it launching, in Mac's case, out to the left-hand side. Face closed, we're going to launch it to the right. But the face does what the path allows it to do. So, yep, the face is king. The ball does what it tells it to do. But ultimately, it is the path that allows the face to do what it needs to do. The target is static. Where the flag is where it is. But as we shift around it with our club path, that completely changes the orientation of the face-to-path relationship. So let's dive into exactly how you would hit your two shots, right? So we're on a hole here, 170 yards, over water. We'll do a little flyby here so you guys can see it. Lovely 9th hole at the Emirates course, but the pin's back left. So you can either work one up the fairway into the green with a little slider, or you can turn one over the water.
Yeah, so for me, generally I know what my misses are for both.
Yeah.
For a shot like this, most people would never want to start it over the water. For me, my miss with my slinger or my big hook is going to be right. So for me, it takes out the water. My miss would be back right of that green.
Got it.
Whatever that may be, which doesn't leave me in a ton of trouble. So it eliminates the water shot. And that's another thing that people have a hard time kind of grasping is aiming out this way. They're like, you're going to hit it in the water. For me, it actually takes the water out of play.
It does.
Completely eliminates it.
Your miss is a block.
Right.
Right. So if you kind of, open up to the front right portion of the green and you try and kind of, guide one in there, just feather a nice little 7 in or something like that, the chances of you getting a little stuck on the downswing, the face gets a little bit too open, it's a bit of a kind of push cut for you, right? So then it's a little flare that starts flirting with the water.
Yeah, 100%. And that's just kind of why I've started to do this stuff is I've kind of acknowledged where my misses are, and then I play away from those misses. So obviously, as you said, the cut, generally it's going to go left. So to this pin, most people wouldn't try to hook one in there, but for me, it just feels more right.
Let's dive into it. Let's go 9-iron slinger first. Then we're going to hit, what's your slider?
I'm going to go like a chippy 6-iron
Chippy 6.
Little cut. So generally my cuts don't cut as much as my slinger, obviously. It's easier to hook a ball than cut a ball with an iron. But yeah, it's pretty big variance in club, but it's...
Okay, let's go slinger first.
Okay. So my main kind of focus with this, obviously, is get my stance pretty closed off. I aim significantly left. It's almost over-exaggerated, but that's going to force my path to be super in and out. So for me, it's feet, shoulders, hips, all super closed off, aiming left.
Yep.
My sensation is going to be swinging down this foot line. Right. So that's all I really focus on. The face is naturally going to close just from doing it quite a bit.
Yeah. So there's no real movement of you trying to reroute the club. It is literally the same swing that you're trying to make if you were hitting a straight one. You've just positioned your body offset to your target line.
Yeah, so I would say that's my biggest cue with these shot shapes is set up. People don't spend enough time. It's just the first kind of initial thing when I get to the ball is setting up properly, making sure that I'm...
Love that. I think there's a real lesson in that. And the one other part that you do is you don't do it by a little. You do it by a lot. You're much more definitive of telling the club face what you need it to do based on where you aim, right? So some people, when they start maneuvering the golf, say you're a zero path, really neutral player, and you start trying to shape it, people might move their path 3-4 degrees off that zero. You move yours 20.
I think for this, like we'll probably see about close to 25 to 30 into out path.
Which is wild. We would not encounter anyone with that amount of movement to their path in any scenario in here, but it's what allows you to be more definitive about what you want the face to do.
Correct.
Right. Let's hit the slinger first.
Okay.
He's a one-take wonder, this boy.
So again, that one would be a miss. Yep. Obviously. A little bit of an oversling, but to that pin, it's not really a green light close to the water there. Sure. You're happy with a 25, 30 foot putt to the right.
And look where you've started that. I mean, you've started it out over the right side of 18 green on the Emirates. So let's go again. Let's hit another one in there. Here she comes. That's an absolute beauty. And some people watching this, Mac, will be, so impressed that, wow, Mac hits his 9-iron 170 yards. Well, your 9-iron has 42 degrees aloft. At impact, you deliver 24 degrees aloft. And this comes back to the king and the queen concept, guys. The path is going 20.5 degrees to the left. The face angle is 11.5, so it's right between the target and the path at that point, right? So we've got the face open. We need the face to be open to the target. That's what starts at left. We need it to be closed to the path. That's what gets it curving right. That's how the relationship of king and queen works. The path is ultimately what allows the face to close that much. Amazing. Okay, let's go the other way. All right, 6-iron?
Yeah, so 6-iron, again, working in extremes. My stance is gonna look super open compared to what I just did with the more of the hook shot there. But with the cut, I generally don't get too steep on it. My path it's out to in, but it's not crazy. It's more of a face thing.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's just swinging along my foot line is my feel. Again, it's feel versus real there, but it's that's my main sensation.
You are a picker, aren't you?
I used to be quite steep, and then I had that wrist surgery, and I kind of, that's what I think for me, was so scared of hitting the ground that I actually started shallowing myself out naturally, and now I'm just I don't take divots at all anymore.
No. And guys, I think I just straight into my mind there, it goes back to our compression video, because you're manufacturing, spin windows here that are all controlled by your spin loft, and you're not doing it by being steep. You're doing it by controlling the loft, right? So you're taking the ground as a variable out, and you're just using the upper jaw in order to get that. So last one, 4.3 degrees down with the angle attack. Let's see, because most people think you're going to get steep and can hit one cut. The chances are, all that's going to happen is we're going to increase that dynamic loft, but we'll probably get a little shallower.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see this one. So good. So good. Probably the simulation robbed you of a little bit of curvature there. It was starting to straighten out.
Generally, That one, I'm actually surprised with the path. I'm actually proud of myself there, because generally when I work on this, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to be a little bit more out to in, so.
Well, there's shot 1 and shot 2, or shot 2 and shot 3. You've got a 9-iron and a 6-iron. The ball doesn't know that you've changed club. It thinks you've got the same club in your hands there because you've delivered the same amount of pressure into the back of the ball. From a loft perspective, it's identical. From an angle of attack perspective, it's pretty darn similar. And your speed actually is quite similar too.
Yeah.
So when you're swinging in to out, the rate of rotation that you need to get that face shut increases your club head speed. And then when you're swinging from out to in, 13 degrees, you're holding the face open. It decreases your club head speed because you're hanging that face open. Amazing, an amazing illustration that the ball doesn't know and doesn't care what club you hit.
Definitely.
It only understands the principles and pressure of the delivery, right? Could not have been illustrated any better with those 2 shots. Okay, guys, so we've talked a little bit about the relationship of how to curve it right to left, left to right. We know that Mac utilizes that to access tough pin locations and things like that. But also, you want to use the sort of the vertical control of the club face, right? You've got to use the loft, the tilt. You've got a lot of speed. I mean, very few people will ever swing a 6-iron at 100 miles an hour. So you can utilize that velocity to create a ton of lift. Let's look at 205 into the 18th here at the Emirates, and let's see your 2 shot shapes vertically. Let's look at your Moonball and your sort of Stinger.
Yeah, so I'll go with the high one first. So again, similar to the other shots there, it's a lot of setup for me. Ball position a little further ahead. The main focus on this, I'm going to hang back on it a little bit and higher hands at the follow through. Those are my only real feels. I'd say the high hands at the follow through is probably my biggest thing for getting the height.
And what do you feel that changes from a body position standpoint? That gets you tilting a little bit more rather than turning. Is that a lot?
Yeah, that kind of cause and effect. I would say the high hands force me to tilt back.
Got it.
So that's my side bend and tilt at impact.
It's a beauty. Absolute beauty. So there's the Moonball 6 that if you're really needing to get the ball to land very, very soft, you're going to go and lean on that. 147 feet of peak height, 52-degree land angle for a 6-iron. And look how you done it. You done it through actually hitting up on the 6-iron.
Yeah.
So we talk about shallowing it out and obviously the amount of delivered loft. It's got the same spin rate that you would normally use. You've just swung obviously quick. You've increased your launch angle through more delivered loft, but you're not spinning it high because you've got the more shallow angle attack.
Exactly.
Very, very cool. Okay, let's show us the opposite of that one. Let's look at the more kind of flat. Now, not the easiest hole to do a flat sort of approach, but let's show the lack of control perhaps if somebody has a low ball flight.
Yeah, I think this would be a good demonstration of having the versatility to be go upstairs with it rather than low, because
Definitely.
To this hole you'd be pretty stuck if you had one trajectory and one trajectory only. Okay, so similar to the one ball position, I don't go way back with it like a lot of people because that gets me too down on it, which actually creates that lift. So I kind of keep it neutral. I'd say I'd put it where like I would put a traditional 8-iron for me, middle of the stance kind of thing. And then my main focus here is just a little lower hands through impact. I don't have super low hands. I have high hands with pretty much everything, but we're gonna feel low hands through impact.
Love it. Let's do one more. So good. We see we just come in that little bit flatter, right? So we had the 52-degree land angle first time around. On that last one, we were coming in 40 degrees. We're fully 70 feet lower. So huge change in those two flights. Let's actually look at them side on in the profile of them. So two different ways, two completely different ways to play it. But again, that comes down to managing the vertical component of the delivery. So two totally different shots. Double the launch angle almost on the high one, 10.4 launch, 4,900 spin on the low one. But it really comes down to this delivery. We have the angle of attack up at 1 degree up. We have the 7.3 degree downward angle of attack. Obviously, launch angles or dynamic loft is down by about 6 degrees. Completely different. Again, looking at how you influence the face with the path, though, you moved it more into out in order to bring that dynamic loft down, right? Because you know that'll increase your closure rate.
Exactly.
You really weren't looking to do that with the high one. Neutralizing it was what was going to keep the face more passive and keep the loft up. Okay, guys, hopefully that's given you 4 new shots, right? A way of thinking about managing that club face, how we want that face to obviously, maneuver in order to create the launch and spin, but ultimately how the path dictates what that face needs to do. For Mac, it is going to the extreme of moving the path. I think 33 degrees was the difference between the first one you were 20 into out to 13 out to in with the cut. I mean, people don't move their path 4 or 5 degrees when they're trying to hit a hook versus a cut. You're moving it, almost 8-9 times more than the average person.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
For sure. Yeah, I would say it's kind of what the recipe for it, for sure.
Definitely. And you never done it by numbers. We're only now learning by doing, these types of tests, what your numbers actually are. You're starting to calibrate it now. I mean, you just do it by feel, don't you?
Yeah, it's strictly feel for me. I know we were here maybe 6 months ago. It was the first time I'd really seen what the Slinger was 30 into out or what it was. And it was pretty mind-blowing considering it probably doesn't feel like that just based on my setup.
Based on your setup.
But again, if I can repeat it, then that's the big thing for me. If I can consistently deliver it at 30 and deliver my face properly, then it works.
Love it. Guys, I want to see your slingers. I want to see your sliders. We'll post a little Instagram video, and I want you guys to take this to the range, take it to your course. There's some pretty cool, shot tracer apps for the phones nowadays. I want to see you guys trying this. I want to see you interacting with Mac. You're always posting your kind of whole vlogs and all the different, crazy shots you try in the course. So it'd be really cool to see you guys try a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Really
Love it. Okay, stay tuned for much more with Mac. Having a lot of fun explaining the way he plays the game and trying some different stuff. So stay tuned for that. We will see you again soon.